All right, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I don't even know how to use this okay. So this is my first time doing this on StreamYard. This is also my first time live streaming, so I have no idea what I'm doing. So please bear with me. Okay, so I didn't have time to record um the version control, but I still wanted to be able to like share at least like a little bit of what I did in my class and how I passed my performance assessment. So let me try. Hi, Island girl, how are you? How's it going? How's it going? Yeah, and don't mind the noise in the background, y'all, because like my kids haven't started after school yet. They're starting like next Thursday. So up until then I'm literally like mommy mode all day, no breaks, no nothing. So so I just wanted to go over the version control class. So I'm gonna see if I can pull this up um, to kind of go over what, yeah, kind of what I did on my class. So give me just a second. I'm gonna just pull this up here. And I also think yeah, I literally, cause y'all, I was planning on making a video so much so that I still have my terminal up and I hadn't even touched it because I was having issues with pushing it to the remote repo, and I finally pushed it after like troubleshooting with ChatGPT. I finally pushed it, and I was like, you know what? I fixed it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna share it, and I'm not gonna touch it. Oh, that's great. Congratulations. And you know what? SNHU is a great school. SNHU is a great school. One of my friends, she actually works in Northeastern now in Boston, but she lives in New Hampshire and she used to work at SNHU. And she had nothing but great things to say about the school. So, yeah, definitely congratulations. As well as my old coworker went to SNHU. She's actually pursuing her engineering degree, but at SNHU, whereas I'm pursuing mine at WGU. That's awesome. And how do you like accounting? You're a numbers girl. You're welcome. All right, so I'm gonna give it just a little bit of time, see if anybody else wants to join. Again, this is my first time going live, so yeah, just bear with me. I'm just trying to get acclimated, but yeah, we'll wait a few more minutes and then I will go ahead and start sharing my screens and kind of what I did to solve the PA for the version control class. That's amazing. I'm so glad that you love it. And that's so important to really like, pursue something that you're passionate about because it makes a world of difference. Like whenever I hear, people say like if you find something that you enjoy, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Now as an adult, I really feel that like as a mother, as a person who has other responsibilities in life, it's so true because your mental health like yeah, because I've worked places that had me on the brink of like collapse, and it's like no, enjoying what you do, being able to go home happy is priceless. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can share my screen now. So bear with me. My keyboard literally also just calmed down. That's great. That's great. I think I dropped water on it, and yeah. So now every time I hit a key, it hits like four next to it. Okay, so let's see. Um, So first things first. Okay, so actually I'll share this page now. Okay, so let me know if you can see that. But so, okay, so I have my course planning tool up, and this is the class that I recently just passed. So right after the Web Dev Foundations class, this was my next class. So here you can see this class requires a performance assessment. So this one is literally you have to do a task. And then let me see, hold on. Okay, so this is the task, and you basically have to complete it in its entirety, following all of the instructions in order to pass this class. So as we're looking here, right? So there's an introduction, the scenario, which I mean, it's kind of helpful to go over. So it basically says you've been hired as a consultant at a company. The company has a collection of files for its website that need modification to complete the project deliverables. Company's contract requires that all documents be saved to a source repo. So basically, we're working on documents, and then we're going to be pushing everything to a remote repo. And so these are the requirements, right? So you're creating a repository, and then within the repository, these are going to be all of these selections. Hold on just a second. Maybe I'm gonna try and see if I can close the door. Give me just a second. Okay. All right. So we can be just a little bit more quiet. But all right. So we're looking at this page. So here we said the first step is basically preparing your repository with the initial data on GitLab. So you're creating a branch named Working in GitLab. You're including a screenshot. So let me just show you now my remote repo, just to kind of give you an idea. Let me see. Okay, so actually, let me show you my terminal. Let me actually show you my terminal, and that will also give you a good idea of what I did, because I technically had to disconnect. I had to delete the repo from my local repo, basically disconnect it and then reset it to connect to the remote repo that is for WGU. So I'm gonna stop sharing that screen, and then I'm actually gonna share my my terminal. If I can share my terminal. Okay, here we go. So I can. Okay. So, all right. So if you can see this, so this is my terminal here. Okay. So when they want you to connect to the remote repo, you're able to actually locate it here. Now, you have to get your own, there's going to be a URL that's specific to your project. You actually have to find your name and everything. You're going to find your username. My username for my class is srugs1, but you're going to find your username in the Git repo, within the WGU projects, and then you're going to actually get this URL. And so in my case, I found my URL. So then after that, I set the remote repo to the repo that is on the WGU projects in GitLab. Okay. So after that, once I was able to do that, then I verified. So if you run git remote v, it basically just tells you which remote repos you are connected to. And so for my, excuse me, I think I might be coming down with a little something. I'm not sure. But so the Git remote, it gives you the list of remote repos that you have. So it verified okay, so now I know that I was connected to the remote repo. So after that, then I was able to then git push and push all of my files onto the remote repo. And so this is the last part of what I did, which is pushing the part G. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that just to kind of give you an idea of like what they were looking for, because you're going to be doing everything in the command line, and then you're also going to be taking screenshots of everything you do in the command line and posting it onto a document that you're then going to send. Sorry, I gotta listen out for the children, girl. You listen, girl. I gotta listen out for the for the kids. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go back to. Let me go back to the screen with the performance assessment just to go back over like these requirements. So the requirements, you're preparing your repo with the initial data on GitLab, okay? And then you are cloning your repo to your local machine. And then you're going to, exhibit that. So you're going to be cloning it. You're then going to add a screenshot of that, creating a new branch. So you're preparing your new repo, you're creating a new branch named working. You're taking a screenshot of that. And then on top of that, the screenshot of your repo graph. Then you're cloning your repo and you're going to clone it. And when you clone it in the command line, you're taking a screenshot of that. After that, you're going to make changes to the 3 HTML files. And keep in mind that when you clone the repo, the repo has these HTML files already. You do not have to change anything crazy. Like I literally just changed like an H1. Like I changed like a paragraph, a word in a paragraph, an H1. Very simple, minor changes, but they just need to be changes. So that way, when you push them, they can push as a change. So you would then commit each change with a message. So same thing, right? We're doing git commit, and then the dash M for the message with the semicolons. But again, I'll show you that in my PA as well, because I have my submission. So I want to show you just so that you know exactly like what it's actually going to look like and what your document should look like at the end. So after that, you're creating a new branch. So after you've already like made the changes to the HTML, you're committing it and then you're git pushing it. So then after that, you're going to be creating another branch. So another branch off of the main branch. So now at this point, you would technically have two branches. You're going to have a working branch and a test branch. And then the main branch, which like we don't touch because that's like the default WGU branch. So after that, the simulating the merge conflict. This one was, again, I had concerns about like doing merges because I just never understood like how they worked, but I got a lot of clarity within watching the webinars on how to do merges, and it was really, really helpful. And then after that, you're tagging a branch. So same thing, git tag. And then you would tag a branch and you can tag it as like a version number. And then after that, adding a retrospective directory. So really, when they say the directory, you're doing the mkdir, right? Make directory. And it's basically just a folder. You're essentially just making a folder inside of your repo. And inside of that that new working branch. I'm sorry, so not inside of your repo, but inside of your new working branch, you would just basically be creating a new folder. So these are the requirements of the tasks. Now, hi, Kiara, how are you? How's it going? Okay, so these are all the rubrics. So you're being graded on, pretty much every step of this. Like, did you create the branch? Did you, get the screenshot? Did you clone it? Did you commit it? Did you get the screenshots? Did you modify it? Did you introduce a merge conflict? Tag the working branch? All of these things. And then you're also providing a screenshot for everything. So now moving over to the GitLab. So I'm going to show you. So this is what the GitLab looks like. I've never used GitLab before. I have only ever used GitHub. So I learned about GitLab for the first time in my class at WGU. So this is my first time using GitLab. It's similar, but it's totally like, I don't know, it's similar, but it's also totally different. So this is GitLab, and same thing I found. So if you look here, right, it says the WGU GitLab environment. That's where you would technically be starting off, right? And then from there, I don't want to go back because y'all, like, low key, I don't even know. Like, low key, I'm not sure that I'd really be able to find my way back that easily. I'm just looking at these tabs and realizing, like, okay, they're like trickling down, and so this is the path for how to get here. But I don't want to go back because I don't want to waste too much time trying to find my way back. But either way, you would be finding the WGU GitLab environment. And I believe it's something like search here, and then you would look for the WGU. And then after that, you would go into the student repos. After the student repos, you would look for your actual WGU username. And your WGU username, yeah, it's basically like everything that's before the @wgu.edu. So you would find your username, and then once you find your username, then you would look for your class. Once you get your class, you would actually get the repo just like this. And then at this point, then you would go here. You would then, grab your link, and then you would then go ahead and do, git clone in your terminal, clone this repo into your local environment. And then same thing, you're using whatever IDE you want. I normally use VS Code, so that's what I used. I use VS Code, and then I use like the normal Mac terminal. And same thing, like it's kind of complicated. It's kind of I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of complicated. It is, but it's not. Like, I just feel like because I like it, so I find, like, fun in it. But I think as you go, further into your class, little by little, when you put the concepts together, they just start to make a lot more sense. Like, that's the best thing I could say, is like, it'll just start to make a lot more sense as you're just like, compounding little by little on top, little by little on your learning. You just kind of grow in competency, and you start to understand things, and they start to just, go together a little bit better. Computer science, and I'm just doing the software engineering program. And let me tell you, I almost started the computer science, but I didn't want to do all the math. Like, I did pre-calculus, I did calculus, I did discrete math, and I was like, you know what? I mean, I like programming. Like, maybe at some point in time I might, like, maybe if I decide to, like, go into data analysis or something. But I guess, for now, I just wanted to do the software engineering because I wanted to really get the meat and the practical. I wanted to do more of the practical side of engineering versus, I believe, like software engineering is the practical side, whereas computer science is the theory. Yes, computer science is the theory side of engineering, whereas software engineering is the practical, hands-on, practical side of it. So it just kind of depends on, like, if you're a hands-on person versus a investigating, creating, different algorithms that prophesize things, so that's kind of like how I've, understood it. And you've worked with Git and GitHub. Same thing. Like, I've only ever worked with Git and GitHub. I've never worked with GitLab. So this was super, super brand new. And I was very confused when I first, like, touched it. And honest, like, I still don't know everything about it. Like, I just know how to, like, I just learned how to complete my project. But for the most part, it works the same way. Like, the cloning, the finding, finding everything is, relatively the same. I don't know what's different to say. Like, I'm not really sure what's that different, but I'm not sure really what's that different. But for the most part, it's, it seems to be that once you kind of find your repo, it's a lot easier from there. So this is the main. So this is the main repo. So this is what is the default. This is the default, and this is what you would be cloning. Now I'm going to show you my directories. So I believe, I want to say this directory. Oh, hold on. Oh no. Oh no. What? Oh man. Because how do I even log it? How do I even, hold on, let me see, because I'm not even really sure. Let's see. I'm not sure. Hold on, because I might have to log into GitLab from my. Okay, so maybe I might try and log into GitLab from my thing, because I don't know. I think you have to use the SSO. Okay, so yeah, if you can see this screen. So when you're logging in, that's another thing too. You have to use the SSO. And let me show you here. So this screen, if you go to here, you're going to go to web links, because I think when you go to GitLab alone, it doesn't let you like log in as the SSO. So you have to use the link from your WGU portal. So when you are basically on your task, so you're going to click your task, and then you're going to go down to the web links and to GitLab. And then right here, you're going to see this screen, and then it'll ask you for the single sign-on. That's what we want. Oh, Lord. Okay. So this is what I was meaning. This is what I was talking about, and I didn't want to go back, but it brought me back anyway. So I guess we'll find our way back. So this is the student repo. So same thing, right? So this is like when you're just going into the GitLab, you click it. This is what it's going to bring you to after you single sign on. And then you're going to search in the student repos. I had already pulled mine up. Generally, it would probably show you a whole entire list of student repos. So you're going to go here, and then I click mine, and then I pull up the repos. Okay. The main default initially clone. After we clone, this is, I believe this is the second one. So this is the first branch that we are creating. Okay. So the first branch that we're creating. Okay. And then as you can see here, we have the branch that we created. So I created this branch. And then when I did that on the terminal, I took a screenshot of it. And then you can see here, these are the HTML changes that I pushed. So, right, I documented here my commit message. Like I changed an H2 element. I changed a title element and a title element. So nothing crazy. And then here in the README file, this push is also part of the task. And this is also part of the merge request portion of it, because what happens is that we're creating a README, we add the student ID, right? And then we create another branch, which is the working branch. And right here, we then add, I believe we're adding something else, which is that we add the version number. So this is what actually creates the merge conflict, is that you're initially told to add your student ID onto the README, and then you have to go back in and add your version number onto the README as well in the same spot. When you do that, then it'll tell you like, oh, hey, you have this merge conflict. And then I'll show you too, like how I fixed it and what helped me better understand the merge conflict. So this is all of like my pushes into the GitLab repo, okay? And so remember, like the main one is the default one. That's the one that we're normally going to come up on the minute that we click into that link from the task page on WGU. And then we're going to create the test branch first. That one is going to have like the first set of pushes in addition to creating the README that is going to be part of the merge conflict. And then after that, we're going to create another branch, the working branch. This one, right? So here we're merging the test and the working branches. And this is where we merge one branch that has the version number and then the other branch that has the student ID number. So this is that push. And then the part G, all of those changes are the very last part of the changes. And then can someone else clone your repo. I don't think so. I think the repo is private. I think it's only for you, and that's the reason likely why they request the single sign-on, because I think the single sign-on tells the system that they have that repo is specifically for you. So I don't believe anyone should be able to like see any of your pushes, like if they're going into the WGU, like the main I guess like, yeah, the main portal, they shouldn't be able to see anything that you personally like pushed or anything like that. So this is the second branch, and this is all of the pushes. So these are the pushes for changing the HTML, merging, and then all of the part G that includes the document and the additional directories that we added. So there's another portion where they talk about screenshotting the repository graph. So here, this is the repository graph right here, right? So this, I believe there are, I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to show you the actual my submission after, but I did have to take a few screenshots in between here and add it to the document. And this is what your repo graph is supposed to look like, essentially. So it starts with the initial commit, and then, the main. So really it would start off, I believe, with just the main, and then everything else after this would be everything that you're doing. And then you would then add these screenshots onto your document. But this is what it should look like. So now if we go to the document, let me pull that up here. Let's see. Okay. And then I'm going to go over some of like the Git commands too, because I feel like that helped me a lot too. Like I still went through all of the coursework and just wrote down all of the Git commands just because it helps to have them documented somewhere. So, okay, so I have the document open here. So give me just a second. Okay, so, all right. So here is my version control template. Okay, so this is what is supposed to be showing. This is like what we're supposed to be submitting. I'm sorry. So this is what we're supposed to be submitting. Hold on. Okay. I didn't know what I was sharing. I'm like getting lost in my screens. Okay, so this is what we're supposed to be submitting for the version control and for the actual like performance assessment. So we're supposed to be submitting this in addition to actually like, completing the task, pushing it, and they need to see everything pushed onto the remote repo. So the way that I did it was basically every step as I was completing things, I was adding the screenshots immediately as I was doing it because I didn't want to lose my place or my pace. So I would advise, like, if you are going to do it, just have it open, and as you're, going through it, screenshot it, add it directly to the document immediately, just so that way you don't lose your place. So here they asked for the screenshot of the current repo graph, right? So this was the current repo graph. So this is, and then again, we have to leave a comment. So the comment was that this is the repo graph after creating the working branch off of the main branch. So the working branch was the first branch that was created. And then the step B screenshot, this one is a screenshot of the command line. And so this one is supposed to be a screenshot after cloning the GitLab repo. So, and in this case, I explained that I kind of had like a little bit of issues getting on because for some reason, like it wasn't allowing me to authorize, and it wasn't asking me for my username and password. And I'm not sure, but I think because like different systems like on Windows, I feel like when you're connecting to Git and GitLab, it'll give you a pop-up and it'll ask you to actually log in. But sometimes on the Mac, it doesn't do that, and it didn't do that for me. And I was looking for a pop-up, and on the webinars, like they didn't actually display it at like on a Mac on the webinar. They displayed it on the Windows. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting the pop-up. What's going on? So I ended up having to like create a personal access token and then authorizing my access with GitLab another way. And then here, and let me see if I can actually, I don't know if I can like zoom in on this. Okay, so I guess, so yeah, if you can see this, so this is what that looks like. Okay, so this is the screenshot of my terminal, right? So we're Git cloning it, you have the URL, and then here it's asking me for my username, for my password, and then after that, I then did the command ls, the terminal command, just to verify that it was indeed now inside of my directory, and it was. So now this one is the screenshot for the each Git command change that I made to the HTML file. So again, for this one, they want that every change you are, adding it, committing it, and pushing it for every single change. So do not do all three changes, or I guess you can do all three changes at once, but just push them separately. But I would probably even say, it's easier to just do them separately, so that way like you have all the separate pushes. So this is what these look like. So like for this one, the about.html, hold on honey, I'll be right there. So here, like for the Git add, so we added the about.html to the staging area. And then I like to check my status because I want to see like what's happening. So I always do that between everything that I do. So Git status, and then it tells me like, okay, perfect, you added about.html. This is the one that you're getting ready to stage and getting ready to commit. And then same thing, we then, staged it and then committed it, right? So Git commit, and then we added our commit message. And then same thing, we added customers.html, Git commit message, and then same thing, add vision.html, Git commit, and then your message. And then here, the next step is, so this one is the screenshot of the command line action. Hold on, let me see what this one is for. Okay, so this one is just the screenshot of me pushing it to the remote repo. So now that we've committed all of those 3 changes, and then we pushed everything to the Git repo. And then here, now this is step D. So now this one is asking us to create a new branch. So we're supposed to be creating the test branch here, right? So they want the screenshot of the test branch being created. So we're Git branching. So we're doing Git branch test, right? So Git branch test means that we're creating a new branch named test. And again, I like to do Git status after everything I do, just to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So then I checked out of that branch, I switched to the other branch, and then we then moved on to creating the README file. And then same thing, after I created the README, I like to do the list command in the terminal to make sure that whatever it is that I created is actually there. I then, and that's what I'm saying. I literally took screenshots. These look, a mess because I literally had commands that weren't working. I added all of those in there because I didn't care. Like, you're gonna see me struggling, but bottom line is that it ended up getting pushed. So we created the README file. We then added the README file, right? So, and in that README file, same thing. I added I believe it was the student ID number. So, yep, right here. created README file and added the student ID. So we added that student ID, and then we pushed it to the remote repo. And then in this case, we pushed it, but we set it upstream to the test branch, not to the working branch. So that's part of that you want to make sure that you're getting a screenshot of. And then yes, I believe in this section they wanted to see the screenshot of, they wanted to see the screenshot of the repository graph as well. So we have the screenshot of the repo graph, and that's also added to the document. And then here, this is the screenshot that demonstrates the conflict of the merge. So we have the Git branch here. We tried to merge it. We got the conflict, okay? So then we fixed the conflict by way of just separating the data on two different lines. So essentially, this merge conflict was created because on one branch, there was a piece of data on one branch that was on one line, and then on another branch, there was a different piece of data, but on the same line in two different branches. And so when we were trying to merge it, it's causing a conflict. Again, merge conflict, which is something that I'm just like, the class really clarified for me. So that's what caused the merge conflict. So essentially, in order to fix the merge conflict, we just basically made sure that the data was on another line. So we separated the two pieces of data and put one on another line and made sure that they were on separate lines. And once we did that, everything was able to work. And then we were then able to add it back to the staging area, do the git status, verifying that everything is all set, git commit. So we're merging the test and the working branches, and then we pushed it to the remote repo, okay? And then after that, they wanted another screenshot of the current repo graph. And here you have the merging test and working branches. And then for step F, now this part is, excuse me. So this part is the tagging. So the tagging is basically, it allows you to add like version numbers and things like that onto your commits. Just like, I guess it's the same thing. Like if you're seeing like different version numbers for apps and things like that, they're git tagging every single time they, potentially push an update onto the app. So we're git tagging, and then same thing, they want a screenshot of that. Here I ran a command git tag list just because I wanted to make sure that that the tag was actually there, and that will give you a list of tags for that. Yeah, basically like for your whole entire repo, it'll give you a list of tags. And then I went and ran git push origin tags, and that pushed the tags onto the git repo. And then same thing, they wanted another screenshot of the repo graph. And so this was all that needed to be submitted for the PA. So that's all that needed to be submitted as far as like the additional documents. Now keep in mind, I'm gonna share another one actually though too, because I have another document here that I was also documenting while I was completing this. Okay, so if you can see this document here, so this one I literally was like completing it as I was doing everything, because same thing, I just wanted to understand, and I didn't even make updates because there was a lot of like, you see I have notes here that are literally saying like I'm encountering an error, messages keep saying that I'm like the local branch is one commit ahead. Not sure how to fix this issue, but I did end up fixing it. But yeah, these are pretty much my notes, right? So you have your repo URL, you have your project URL, and then you are then committing it. You need the URL. So when you're submitting your PA, you actually want to also have a link to your URL. So I would probably just say to like document that somewhere too. And then same thing, I also took down this document because same thing, I was having issues with authentication. So I looked up a document. This is actually a GitLab document, and it goes over how to create a personal access token. So you can take a look at this in the event that you are having like authentication issues when you're trying to actually like connect to your remote repo from your terminal. If you're having issues, feel free to review that document on personal access tokens and how to create them, and then that should be able to help you with completing your authentication. And then yeah, pretty much these are just like my little notes here. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I hope that like kind of helped. And then now I just wanted to go over just a handful of Git commands too, just to have that review. And then if if that helps, that's great. But yeah, having like a list of the Git commands really helps, because then you just have an idea of essentially what you can and can't do. So okay, so yeah, that's it. So now, how does Git work? Okay, so again, this is not an objective assessment, so no, you don't need to know, but then again, it helps. So how does Git work? Git pull, it adds the file to the local repo and directly to the local folder. Git init initializes a new Git repo. Git clone clones an existing repo from a remote URL. Git add stages a file, and it stages all the changes in the directory. Git commit commits the staged changes. And if you do git commit -m, it commits the stage changes with a message. Git status shows the status of changes as untracked, modified, or staged. Git log shows the commit history. Git diff shows the differences between working directories and index. Git branch lists all local branches in a repo. Git checkout switches to specified branch. And git merge merges specified branch history into a current branch. And I will show you. Oh, and actually, let me see too, because I can just stop sharing that, and then I'll show you here. So if you want to take a look at this, okay? So this is kind of just like a list of the Git commands, okay? Okay. And then the Git basics. So if two people are working on a file at the same time, Git will try and merge the changes into one file. The code can be made public and a URL can be shared with other parties having to create Git accounts. The problem that branching solves is that when a lot of people work on the same file, Git might not be able to merge the files. And so that's where the different branches come into play. Git operates on a distributed version control model. And when a Git repo is initialized, the local repo is created with a history of commits. As changes are made, they would be staged for a commit. Okay, and then some more commands. So git branch -d deletes the specified branch. Git remote add origin adds a remote repo. Git remote -v shows the URLs that Git has stored for the repos. So that is a command that I used. Git fetch fetches all the branches from the remote repo. Git pull fetches and merges the changes from the remote repo into the current branch. Git push pushes the changes from the local repo to the remote repo. Git push set upstream pushes a new branch to the remote repo and sets it as an upstream branch. So this option, this command I had to use when it came to creating the new test branch, I believe. When I created a new branch, in order to push it for the first time, I had to set the upstream origin to a different branch. Git show shows information about a specific commit, and that one would be like git show. And then I believe if you do git log And then git log will show you like all of the actual like commit ID. It's like a commit ID or something like that, like a commit number. You would then be able to copy that number, and then if you do git show and then you paste that number, it'll show all of that information about that specific commit. And then same thing, right? Git log will show you, it visualizes the repost history. But if you do git log one line, it'll show you everything in one line. If you do git log one line graph and decorate, it actually visualizes the repost history in a graph. Okay. And honestly, yeah, I wrote down a lot of them, but there are some that I really didn't use, and I'm not sure like if we use them often. But I will start off at like, yeah, git checkout you'll use a lot. So git checkout, and then whatever branch you're switching between branches. If you do git reset, I did use that command as well because I was making some mistakes. I was staging like all the files, so then I had to git reset and then stage one file at a time. So the git reset and then the name of the file, that will unstage a file. If you do git reset and then a hard commit, that resets the index and the working directory to a specified commit. And then it says, and then I also have a note about what is the effect of a file in the main repo becomes corrupted. And it just says that there are no effects on users' local copies. Git is distributed. The file in the user's repo will be unaffected by any changes to the file in the main repo, unless users attempt to retrieve the corrupted file. Okay. All right. Okay. So I mean, that was pretty much it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I feel is important to go over. I would say too the git config. So you probably also want to review the configurations just to make sure that everything is configured properly when it comes to being able to access the remote repo. So maybe the git config -- list shows a list of git settings, and that might be useful. Let's see, remote repo. Okay, I think that's about it, y'all. I think that's about it. So I mean, I showed you, everything in terms of like the GitLab. I showed you, the requirements page on WGU, so the task page, the requirement page for the version control class. And then also you saw the template. So that template is downloadable. You have to use that template for the class, for the performance assessment. You cannot create your own file. You have to use that one. So, you saw like how it's set up, what they're requiring, what the GitLab looks like, how to actually get there, where you should be accessing the GitLab link from, because that makes a difference. You want to be logging in with a single sign-on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I had issues pushing it the first time. So literally the first time that I tried to push it, I just didn't get it. And I was like, you know what, maybe if I submit it, and I miss a step, they'll pass it anyway. Ma'am, they did not pass it. Okay. They definitely were like, actually, no, we don't see any of those pushes that we asked for. So I had to go back to the drawing board. And then I went on ChatGPT. And baby, I know ChatGPT had smoke coming out of her ears, because I was like, how do you do this? And how come I keep getting this error? And what does this error mean? And this error and this error. So yeah, I was doing a lot of research on ChatGPT. Every single error that I got, I was basically troubleshooting the errors. And so, yeah, I was able to finally find a way. And I believe it was literally an issue with, I want to say, bandwidth, right? It wasn't even an issue that was pertaining to me at all, but I couldn't push it because of the bandwidth And so the error that I was getting, I was dropping it into ChatGPT and asking it like, what is this error and what does this mean? And the first two, it would always talk about like, yeah, something about bandwidth. So it gave me like 2 commands to run that would expand the bandwidth to allow me to push to GitLab. So I ran those 2 commands and it expanded the bandwidth and I was able to push it. So yeah, hopefully this helped. And yeah, let me know if you have any other questions about it. But yeah, this class was really, really informative. I really enjoyed it. I feel like, I learned something new. I never used GitLab before. This is my first time ever putting my hands on GitLab. So I learned a lot, and I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that I took the class because now at least I can say that I know how to use GitLab. And y'all, if I'm you, I'm adding this stuff to my resume. So just keep that in mind. Like for me, every single time I learn a new skill, and this was again, I've been self-taught and working in tech for like 3 years. Every single skill that I learned, I started like watching YouTube videos and then moved to like Udemy courses. Every skill that I learned, I put it on my resume. And so now that I know GitLab is going on the resume. So, and High Sounds, thank you. Yeah, everything is going great. Everything's going great. I'm like just getting on pace. And like, just really starting to like get into a good rhythm with my classes. So I'm feeling very, a lot more optimistic. Like I just feel more optimistic because I felt like I was really just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I was trying to like push through like a brick wall. And now I'm just kind of like pacing myself and like understanding, kind of what resources better support me, right? Like they have a whole bunch of they have live like classes and stuff that they host. And I didn't know that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they have this resources page with all these webinars. Like my first few classes, hold on just a second, y'all, because my kids are at the door. Hold on. And yes, GitHub for the win for sure. GitHub for the win. But yeah, everything is going great. Just getting into a good rhythm. My program mentor was on my behind. And y'all, at first I was like literally getting mad at her because I was like, you don't understand. Like I have so much going on. And she was like, listen, I understand. But I mean, like you still want to keep getting your financial aid? Yeah, so if you still want to keep getting your financial aid, you're gonna have to find a way to pick up the pace. And honestly, enough said. Say less, say less, say less. Because if there's one thing about it, listen, I'm trying to get my job to pay for this degree. So say less. I got it. I'm listening. But yeah, hopefully this helped. And yeah, good luck if you're gonna be, taking your PA. Good luck. You're gonna do great. You might encounter some errors. Baby, that's the name of the game. When you're talking about engineering, you're gonna encounter some errors in that terminal. Use ChatGPT. That's what I did to troubleshoot. ChatGPT, documents, the GitLab documents, utilize those. ChatGPT, Stack Overflow is really good. W3 Schools is great. So yeah, like all of those resources are really great, as well as actually I'm gonna show you just one more thing, because I have to go take a walk with my kids. And that's why, because they were like, Ashley, mommy, you said 5:30, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, you're right. Mom life. But yeah, so let me just show you one more thing before I head out. So I wanted to show a tab. Okay, so I think you should be able to see this tab. Okay, so this is the tab. This is the resources page. So this is the supplemental resources page. I didn't even know this existed my my first two classes. So even like the web dev foundations class that like I failed the PA the first time, I didn't even know that this even existed. And had I did, I would have just gone here first and like reviewed everything thoroughly before, I attempted my PA. So I would also very much advise, like, these pages are so beneficial. Right now, I've been working my way through all of these webinars. So right now, I finished watching this webinar, I finished watching this one, I'm working my way through this one, and I plan to literally, like, as I'm working on my classwork on one screen, I'm just going to be watching these webinars, even if it's going ahead, of the unit that I'm currently working on, but just to have an understanding of like how everything works, because on top of that, they use the programming language that they use for these labs. It's like a little bit different. It's something called, what did they call it? Oh my gosh. Coral, that's what it is called. It's called the Coral programming language. So if you want to look that up, it's called Coral, Coral. And so it's a little bit different where it's like you're not like, if you do a print statement, it's not print and it's not console log like JavaScript, or it's not print like Python, it's put. So it's just like the syntax is slightly different. So for the lab, so I would also advise to watch these too, because the programming language that they use for the practice is slightly different than like your standard programming language. The syntax is a little bit different. But these are really helpful. So I plan to watch all of them. I plan to watch all of them. And then I also plan to continue watching all of these short webinars as well. And listen, I know I'm gonna share one more thing, because I need y'all to know, because you know what? Like, I'm just picking up the pace now. I started in February, you know what I'm saying? It took me like 7 months to like, find my footing with school now. So now I'm on a roll. So this is my email, okay? And so I just want to double check to make sure you guys can see this. So this is my email. I just got this email Sunday. So yeah, I just got this a few days ago. I plan to attend all of these, okay? So they actually are hosting live sessions. I would say these are going to be super beneficial. I want to attend because I want to be able to ask questions and get my questions answered live. Like, for whatever it is that I might be confused on, I'm going to be taking notes and asking questions. And again, like, it's kind of like having a private tutor, and especially for programming, being self-taught, it's difficult because you don't have anyone to like be like, no, actually fix this, and no, this is wrong. So being able to have that feedback loop is like so priceless. So if you are, going to be also taking this course, definitely take advantage, because I know I'm going to be, making sure that I implement like literally all of these into my schedule, so that way I can attend all of these live sessions. But yeah, okay, that's it. Now I'm done. Okay, I'm done. But yeah, so I hope that helps. I hope that, you kind of at least like got some clarity on how the performance assessment works. There are webinars and stuff on it too. And I did watch all of the webinars that actually walk you through how to complete the performance assessment. And it was very helpful, because same thing, like, the written requirements are not as thorough about like what they want. So I would still advise to watch the webinar, and there is a supplemental resources page on the version control class as well. So I would probably still, to advise to like go on there and watch the version control webinars, just to get an idea of exactly like, how step by step, how everything looks, because they literally, like, the webinar walks you through everything. They walk through like how to do the Git branch, like how to do the Git commit, how to do the Git push, how to do the Git merge. Like, they walk you through everything. So it's really helpful, because it just, it visualizes what the written requirements and tasks. But okay, I'm gonna skedaddle. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, I hope this helps. Good luck on your class. I hope you pass. Let's go.